Good morning. Thank you for coming today. I'm Chief Bill Fythen from the DeKalb Police Department. We are holding this briefing to keep our dialogue and lines of communication open with all of you and to try and answer your questions. Joining me is DeKalb County State's Attorney John Farrell and First Assistant State's Attorney Bill Ingerman. You will recall that when we last briefed you, we said there was evidence found with the human remains that was consistent with items that Toni Keller may have had or been wearing or had in her possession. That information continues to be true. The investigation is proceeding as a homicide investigation. Due to the state of the burned remains, an autopsy is not viable. Forensics experts have identified the remains as human. Whether these remains are Toni's or not could take some time. The remains were found in close proximity to items found that are consistent with personal items that Toni owned. Since we met last, we have continued this investigation with more than 40 police officers from the DeKalb County Major Case Squad working on the case from 6 different jurisdictions. Since the beginning of the search for Toni, several searches have taken place of the area, including foot searches, air searches, dog searches that included tracking, cadaver, and arson dogs. Another search is taking place today. We have enlisted the assistance of the Illinois State Police and the FBI, and as we determine additional needs, we may ask for additional help from other agencies. We have been in continued contact with Toni Keller's family to keep them informed of this investigation. Our hearts go out to them in this difficult time. Like the Keller family, the DeKalb community, and the entire NIU community, we want justice to prevail. We have continued to interview persons whom we believe may have information relative to this case. To date, we have spoken to approximately 50 people, some more than once. We ask anyone who thinks they can offer any information into Toni Keller's disappearance to call us at 815-748-8407 or 815-753-8477 or DeKalb County Crime Stoppers at 815-895-3272. Anything that can help us piece together the events leading up to the disappearance might be useful, especially anyone who might have observed something suspicious, especially fires and subjects in Prairie Park between midday Thursday, the day Toni was last seen, and Monday morning. We are continuing to follow up on any and all leads. As we continue to uncover new information and evidence in the case, we want to stress to you that we are not at liberty to disclose it. To do so would compromise our efforts. We must preserve the integrity of the investigation. We cannot compromise the ability of prosecutors to try and convict the offender. We have spoken to the DeKalb Park District, who is asking the public to be respectful of the investigation and to temporarily refrain from using Prairie Park. DeKalb Police Department will continue to patrol the park and in fact increase our presence on bicycle and foot patrol. Additionally, the DeKalb Park District has agreed to evaluate Prairie Park with regard to overall safety. For our residents, NIU Police and DeKalb Police have increased their patrols. To address safety concerns, regardless of where you live or how good and safe you think a community is, the sad truth is bad things can and do happen anywhere. Toni reminds us of this. The community wants to feel safe. We, as the police, want the community to feel safe. And rest assured, we are doing everything possible to ensure that safety. This is a homicide investigation, just like homicide investigations that take place everywhere. Unfortunately, crime occurs, and it's our job to protect the public. And we will do that with all our available resources. We want to remind citizens to not go into secluded areas alone. Be attentive to your surroundings. Report suspicious persons, vehicles, and activity to the police, and keep your doors locked. Community members are reminded that they can receive counseling services at Ben Gordon Center at 12 Health Services Drive. Walk-in services are available during regular business hours. They may also contact Crisis Line by calling 1-866-B as in boy, G as in George, C as in Charles. That's BGC 0111. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At this time, I would like to introduce DeKalb County State's Attorney John Farrell for a few comments.
Thank you, Chief. I wanted to just spend a couple of minutes explaining my purpose for being out here today. And it is to let you know that we, as prosecutors, are dedicated to working with Chief Ivan and other members of the Major Crimes Task Force to get the answers we all want. What happened to Antinette and why? As prosecutors and investigators, we understand the public wants answers as quickly as possible, and we appreciate that need, we truly do. I believe that if and when a criminal prosecution results from this investigation, we all want that prosecution to be as strong as it possibly can be, based on solid evidence that will result in a conviction. As investigators go about the job of gathering evidence in this case and talking with individuals who may have information, they must be one step ahead of the game to determine whether that information is something that is reliable or something that is already in the public domain. We have discussed that among ourselves thoroughly, and we hope that you all understand that we do not want to do anything that might compromise this investigation. And I just want to reiterate, as we move forward in the investigation, we will do everything we possibly can to keep the public updated and informed. And at this point in time, I wanted to also introduce my first assistant, Bill Ingerman. We have dedicated ourselves as well as other assistants in our office to be available to work with the Major Crimes Task Force in any legal issues that might arise and in any legal process that might need to be taking place over the course of the next few days here. We are available 24/7, and we will work very, very hard around the clock with the Major Crimes Task Force. Thank you.